I told you this guy's a genius.
Self-proclaimed, maybe.
Well, as long as it works for him.
Exactly my point.
Awesome.
Check. The mic. The mic is going, I assume. I can't check it. I'm already starting to sweat. But for now, I shall keep my shirt on. Because I don't want to have people screaming at me for nudity or whatever. Right? I mean, you just have to give people one reason. One what they seem to think is like a slip, yeah? Where you just let it slip. And I can't help it that you feel stupid walking around with your girlfriend. That's just your problem. You don't have to hold hands. And if you don't like her, it's sometimes better to not hold hands. Simply, and that's a topic that yeah, nice hat, by the way. Thank you, I just saw a woman and she said to her dog, you're thirsty, and so am I. And then I thought, why does she do that? I just leave the house and suddenly I see someone, and I have a topic, and then I start talking to myself. And then people think, what a weirdo. But I can't help it. It has to come out. If it doesn't come out, that's about speaking truth. In a way, it does not really matter when you speak truth, but it does. For yourself. Because if I speak truth openly into the camera while there's people, then truth is a thing that's still objective, subjective, because it comes from a subject, right? You can consider yourself the subject of enlightenment, because you have insights, you have realizations, and they drive you mad if you don't speak about it. And that's where the system gets you to crack, because you're not allowed in certain topics to speak your mind. I mean, you're always allowed, that's what you have to realize, but the shitstorm you're gonna get, that's the one. Yeah, I'm gonna skip that one now. Just gonna I'm not going for a run. I'm going to the supermarket. I left earlier today. It's not even 3 now. I first want to go to the supermarket, and now I'm taking a different route, and yeah, now I feel stupid because I'm recording myself again. There's no way out of it. Whether I speak to myself or I speak into the camera, it's just so stupid, because you think, what am I doing this for all this time? Why am I speaking to myself? It just has to happen. I have to say these things because there are just things that I don't like about people who say they're spiritual. I mean, that's a lot of, what works for you, what works for someone else. I just would like to talk about these self-help seminars. Yeah, you go there. For who self-help seminars are? For people who need help. Yeah? For people who don't manage on their own. For everyone else, figure it out for yourself. And what I don't like about whatever spirituality means or these self-help seminars, and there's a German group that's called Irgendwie Anders. If that's for you, go for it. Absolutely go for it. But if it's not, then just stay where you are. Hey. That's interesting. I forgot that there is a supermarket. There used to be... I already have a different market where I want to go though. the weight of this camera is sometimes a bit annoying. It's not heavy, but it just adds to the weight, right? You just have to focus on it as well. Maybe I should carry it with left for the day, but of course it also depends on how far you extend it. Yeah. Okay, sometimes I just like to try different angles so that I can just hold it also a bit different. Always checking sometimes if somebody's behind me, and usually there isn't. I'm quite perceptive of all the people that walk around, so I can avoid having them in the video, but it may still sometimes happen, and then I think, do I have to like cut them out or something? But I just decided, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think I have to do these things. Anyway, well, yeah, I do pay a lot of attention to keep people out of my content as much as possible. And that's just an insight I had about my apartment, right? If there would ever be a woman that could face this and she would start cleaning up, I think I would tell her to leave, right? Because it's not your point to clean up here, you know? And that's the other point. I don't need help. There was a reason I did not go to a psychiatrist, because whatever I was facing, I realized I can do it myself. But there's people that cannot, because, let's just face it, they're weak and they're imbeciles and they're ignorant of everything, you know? They're like little babies. I'm not a baby, you know? In these things, I'm a grown-up. I may still know. I'm quite serious about this shit. I'm not a child, you know? I meet people who claim to be 60. No, they just project age onto themselves. There is no age, because time's relative. So, you know, having a birthday and then clinging to it makes no sense, because a year is a second and a second is eternity. So, you know, how old are you? And then you can quote people like Don Juan, and then you can say, well, I'm as old as I want to be. Well, he still ran out of energy, did he not? Well, did he? Maybe he just came to the point where he could say, you know, no, my work here is done. You know, now my work here is done, so I can appear as someone else somewhere else. And then you're gonna appear as someone else somewhere else, and you're gonna forget. And I cannot say if that's the same for you. I think it's this way for me, because there are things which I know I've already done them. And when I compare myself to everyone else, I have to acknowledge that I'm different. I'm different. And there is no, you do this now, and then later you do something else. Well, what you could say is that energy does build up. And whatever energy your being is, you know, it can build up. You know, it can stack on top of itself, you know. Maybe that's why some people manage to reach. You know, maybe I think everyone is always the same, but I do think they are. Because I never got fat. You know, I was a bit chubby when, you know, I thought I was 18 or 22. You know, I got a bit chubby. You know, I got a bit chubby, but then I let go of that because I realized, hey, you know, something's making me chubby. I don't like it. I do not like excess weight, you know. Why do not other people realize this? You know, that's the question. Why? Because people are, that's the mob that you may have heard about. You know, the mob consists of single entities, still kind of individuals that just live in a trough of fear, and they identify with it. And then they just look for the ones that look like they figured it out the best. But because, you know, they live in fear and they're stupid, it's like, mop, mop. You know, that's like the gulls from Finding Nemo. Mine's, mine, mine, mine. Or that's the sardines in SpongeBob SquarePants, right? You know, we want burgers. That's the mob. That's the mob, right? It's like, we've got a sale, you know, 20 bottle beer cart or cartridge, I don't know how you call these things, for, you know, $9.99, $11.99, you know, $10.99, and then, you know, you go there and you buy 20 at once. You know, so just that you have your, you know, you can sit at home, every bottle 5 cents cheaper, amazing. It's like, you know, that's like, okay, you know, you can focus on the little things, and, you know, if that gives you pleasure, but then I see how fat you are, and then I realize, well, maybe you should get pleasure from hiking. Or you may just buy 1 cart of beer, and then you take 2 to 3 bottles and take them to hike. You do not go and buy 10 packets of beer. Or maybe you just buy 3 bottles, so that you make sure you actually don't have any at home. So that you have to leave the house every time you feel like you've got a craving for beer. And then you can still make a choice. Would I like to satisfy this craving? Or would I like to ignore it? Well, that's a good question. You know, am I supposed to answer it for you? Or do you think you can manage on your own? You know, that's also a good question. You know, how is it gonna be for the rest of your life? Other people making your choices? Oh, he's wearing a red shirt. That looks good. Oh wow, that one is also wearing a red shirt. Maybe I should get a red shirt. You know, it's like words. In Germany, they started saying Digger. You know, yo Digger. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like, stop saying that. I mean, stop saying it. So, the reason I appear angry to some people is because they're afraid. If I speak like this is how you speak truth. When you're in Africa, you know, you've got the whites and you've got the blacks. You know, we do not want to lump them all into one category, all right? You know, everybody's different. But then you've got some of the whites that go to the gym, because you have to remember, South Africa, apartheid. If you have never heard of it, look it up. Right? It really was like this. I've traveled there. I lived there for my studies, my master's degree. And, you know, that really opens your eyes. That really opens your eyes. And so what happens... Leave me alone. I don't even know who's talking, by the way. You know, I'm just talking about something that I find meaningful. You know, I've already talked about... Hey, nice. Okay. Guten Tag. I did not know there was this place here. Okay, now I wanna keep it in my left hand. You know, the voice says. And so, I like these things. Wow, okay, this is pretty uncomfortable on my hands. Would I do it if I wouldn't feel myself? Absolutely. This is pretty nice though. Right? I mean, if you see an opportunity to do something that... What? I'm stuck. How am I gonna get out of this? Oh yeah. You know, struggle and pull. You know, that's my life. I'm stuck. You know, I'm stuck in hatred. There are people I don't like from my past. You know, which maybe this life, maybe another one. You know, I once fell in love with a woman. Well, not that story again. Yes, that story again. Hey, I didn't know this was here. It's like almost a real workout park. And not one that's like in the city, which means you've got less drunk idiots fooling around here. Wow. This is good preparation for slackline, by the way. Wow. Of course, if you can do it without hands. But right now, I just do it with... Is this moving? No. Oh, this is moving. Well, we know how that works. Okay. That also works. Yo. Okay. It's strange how you sometimes find... Okay, I'm gonna leave these be. And everyone in here. Okay. That's the workout park. That is a workout park. Custom bars. Okay, maybe sometime. I'm gonna check it out. Guten Tag. And yeah, I don't even know why I bother greeting people, because I think it's the right thing to do. You know, let's talk about this. I fell in love with a woman once, and she took me along and to a group, you know, that's, you know, says like, you know, we do self-help for people. You know, it's like hero journeys, self-discovery, that kind of stuff. And you know, I just went there to cook with her. And while I was there, they were all like, you know, I felt fine. I just wanted to cook. And I loved cooking, you know, which people can see and they can sense it, you know, but they don't like it because now you've got people there that are supposed to be healers, self-proclaimed, right? They go, they pay for a certificate. They did not earn this. They just go, they pay for a certificate, and they do what other people say to them. You know, that may be a little bit unfair, but that's just what I'm going to, you know, say about it. And maybe this is my chance to finally let go of this hatred I feel for these people, but I don't think so. I don't know. So now I've got one part in me that wants to go back there, and one part of me that says never ever am I going to fudging go there again, ever. Because I just hate them. And one reason I hate them is because I feel rejected. But there was also a part of me that loved being there, but it's just that I've been rejected. I've been rejected by the woman, and so I started rejecting her. And I've been, I cannot really say rejected by the people there, but in a way I can. Why can I say this? Well, that's simple to answer. Because I went there and I felt good. I have my problems, but I carry them on my own. Oh. Ah, yeah. I just have to keep going here. You know, I carry my problems on my own. And I've always done so, but there are people in my life, or there used to be, you know, they want to feel better. And so they come to you and they say, oh, you know, they get off on hearing you complain about your life, and then they act like, you know, they're patting you on the shoulder. Now, I've got family members who want to do this, and that was the incident that I had with my sister, where she bit me in my finger, and she wanted to get me to a place where I was vulnerable. You know, I don't know what she wants to do with me. I think, you know, I just have to say these things. You know, even family members can be a bit sick in their minds. Even when they, you know, especially when they drink alcohol and start suddenly, you know, they forget who they are. You know, they're just, oh, you know, are we really brother and sister? I'm just saying, at the age of, I was 3 or 4, I've already talked about this, and she was about 7. And she forgot that we were siblings, and I was the younger one and she was the older one, and she had read in some kind of teenager sexy magazine something about sex, and she wanted to try it. And you know, a whole being, I'm just saying these things, a whole being knows right from wrong, and a whole pure heart, I'm just saying it out, I'm not saying, you know, I'm pure or whatever, but I think I am, knows right from wrong, which is when they would read something about, you know, sexuality in a magazine, they would know that it's something you don't do with your brother or your sister or your cousin. They would simply know it. And yet, boundaries, guten Tag, may merge into each other. boundaries may merge into each other. They may merge into each other, and some people are sick and they will just take anything as an excuse to make themselves feel better. And I've had this incident with my sister where we were on holiday with our parents, and normally we had separate bedrooms, but in this time we slept together because we were on holiday. And she said, "Hey, I read something in a magazine, do you want to try it?" And then she said, "Yeah, you have to put your thingy into my thingy, and then it's supposed to be nice." You see what I mean? I can say I love my sister, but I have to acknowledge that I think she's got a sick mind. And that's not, I'm not saying these things to trample her. And it's not your place to trample her, I'm not saying these things to get people to say, "What a stupid bitch." Then you could ask, well, why are you saying these things at all? Because it's important. Because there are people like me who had incidences like me. And she was trying to force me to keep quiet about this. And I started to open up at some point about, that happened to me. That was part of my self-therapy one evening. I'm just speaking about myself. I'm not encouraging you to copy me. I took psychedelic mushrooms. I was in my room. I took them. I first wanted to go into the forest, but I did not. And then my feeling told me at one point, go to the living room, wait for your mother to come and tell her that this happened. And I did. And I also asked her, have I ever been molested as a child? Like, did you beat me sometimes? She said no. Well, there were incidents that I know of. The rest I may have tried to forget, I don't know. I don't always know everything that happened in my life. I think I was, kind of a loved child, but there were incidents that a child perceives as violence. When your parents lose control, that's an important fact. As parents, when you lose control, and your child, you've got children that have a strong mind, and you don't know what child you're gonna get. So you have to be prepared and ready, because do you want to be one of these parents that just, feeds his child with sugar and riles it up and then gives it Ritalin to calm it down again or something, No! You want to be in charge of yourself. Not totally, but you want to keep your shit. You want to keep your mouth shut. You want to keep your mouth shut. That's what she was trying to do to me. It was like she raped me, and then she said, okay, you can say it was consensual. This is not where I wanted to be. I want to be somewhere down there. And now I'm walking up here talking about things I didn't want to talk about. So keep going. Sometimes I just have to find new ways. And there are things which, if I think about them, they still make me angry. And do you know why? She's gonna be angry. Why? My sister is gonna be angry. And I will be able to feel that anger, probably for the rest of my life, until I manage to let go of her bullshit. Because she was in charge. She was supposed to be the older one. And she was trying to use her little brother to make herself feel better. I'm just gonna go into the shadows. And that's what you do when you take mushrooms, which is why mushrooms are not a party trick. Mushrooms are not a party trick. You have to remember this. They're not a party trick. It's serious business. Because you don't know what's going to happen when you take mushrooms. This is what happened to me. I felt this and I knew how to react to it. I went to the living room and I waited, and maybe a 2 or 3, I watched cartoons, which is, connects me to my childhood also. I first realized how sick these cartoons are, how sick they can make a child. You know, where do these things come from? Like Darkwing Duck. Watch it and see it through the eyes of a child and realize, you know, no wonder we're all twisted if we watch shit like this. And of course that's part of the game, right? That you stop identifying with other people, with all kinds of things, you know, with things that make you sick, you know, all this kind of stuff. That's your job to let go of. It's your homework, whatever happened to you in your life. Before I spoke to my mother, I heard my sister came down because we all still lived in the same place. She came down towards, she just had a dog. And maybe I just talk about these things because I've got nothing else to draw from. And that's actually a lie. Because also I haven't talked about this in a long time, so maybe there is a purpose. But if you have these things and you constantly want to tell people, you know, just start working with it. Write it down, draw it, do something with it, and try to get rid of it. You know, maybe that's what I should do. But I think I'm fine. You know, if you do something, you have to be open about it. And that's how you liberate yourself. Which is why I actually think, you know, however uncomfortable this is for my sister, if I openly talk about this, you know, she has to accept that. Because that's my path. That's my path. You know, I'm honest about everything. I'm just honest. I know some things I don't just talk about all the time. There are a lot of things, I just keep seeing feathers, by the way. That just has a meaning for me. Because it's something to hang on to. Oh nice, a feather. You know, there's no path like laid out in front of you. The path is when you're walking it. That's the path. So wherever you go, that's part of your path. So I choose to stay away from cities. That's my path. You know, in that sense, I'm a not so, you know, I'm a little bit like, you know, I'm not a pure renunciate. I don't just renounce everything. I just try to stay open to any kind of possibility. You know, it's like meeting people. You know, if I would meet you tomorrow, I feel there's anger now. I talk about it to myself. I can face you tomorrow a bit better again. Because you have to even the scales sometimes. And if I talk about it now openly, I'm evening the scales. Because people are trying to be on top of me all the time. And that's not their place, you know. Their place is also not under me. They just fail to see that because they think, you know, they just try to identify with me. They just think they have to be like me. You know, that's how competition works. But you can never be like me. Never ever can you be like me. You can just be the way you are. You know, I'm not really a runner. I always liked walking. I always hated, you know, I walked to school 40 minutes, roughly 40 minutes with, you know, my backpack and everything. I walked to school but running I always hated. You know, I had no trouble walking to school. I did this because I wanted to do it. You know, I could have taken the bus. My parents would have paid it. But I said, I want to do it myself. So I walked to school. I walked to school. That's it. And some people joined me sometimes, but I walked every day for 40 minutes. Okay, there were days later when you get a bit older, somebody drives you. But I learned from that. I don't want to be driven. And if I want to drive, I could drive myself. But I just rather walk. I just walk and I walk and I walk. And I keep walking. And that gets me to places. And that clears my mind. And that helps me to let go. and to just see what's gonna happen, because you never know who you're gonna meet, right? Maybe you meet someone and for whatever weird reason, I don't know, this car stops. Hey, what are you doing here? Oh, I didn't. Oh, now I'm somewhere completely different. Ah, interesting. I didn't know, because I actually wanted to go somewhere else. Where am I going? Now the answer is, where do you think you're going? I don't know. I thought I was going to some other kind of supermarket. I just learned a new path. Right, just learned a new way. But this is not where I wanted to go. So now question, this is a one-way street. Yeah, there's nothing to it. I just have to go to the same place again, buy my beer, and then be on my way. I wasn't sure where I was going. This is not the way. I'm going to turn this off for some time.